Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Gun Show VIP edition. Now, VIP edition in a lot of cases is words, right? We just call it that because we have a very important person, and I do have a very important person with me. But we're not just that here in this manufacturing space at Podcast Junkies. We have cameras everywhere. We have a beautiful desk. We got parts. We're flying people in from all over the country. It's actually very, very exciting. Now, did I get you excited if you accidentally tuned in to what you saw on Spotify or YouTube or Apple or Google? It said The Gun Show and you tuned in for muscles or weapons? Because if you did, I apologize ahead of time. I don't have weapons or muscles. My guest does today, and my producer most definitely does. He's a kick-butt kind of guy. So please stick around. We're talking about manufacturing. Manufacturing makes everything around us. And I have written a script today that I'd like to actually read, and I think it's important, especially for you listeners on Spotify right now. I want to convey a powerful message. There's a lot of folks out there that we're trying to get attention from. We want manufacturing to be cool. How do we make it cool? I've asked Christian a couple of times. He said, well, you got to make it sexy. I'm out of luck. I'm not sexy at all. So I don't know how we're going to make this work, but I'm going to bring on some guests that might be. My guest today is Sexy Man. So, all right, welcome to the Gun Show podcast that peels back the curtain on the world of manufacturing, revealing the human stories and intricate processes behind every item in your daily life. Did you know that as of the recent data, manufacturing accounts for approximately 16% of global GDP and employs over 20% of the world's workforce? It is a colossal sector that touches every aspect of our lives, yet remains largely unseen and misunderstood. From the smartphone in your hand, crafted with precision and care, to the car you drive, assembled from thousands of parts where across the globe, every object has a story. This podcast aims to tell these stories, bridging the gap between factory floor and your front door. By understanding and supporting manufacturing, we are not just investing in products, but in people, communities, and the very fabric of our daily lives. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of manufacturing where human ingenuity, I said that word wrong, meets technological prowess crafting the world around us. I almost nailed that. I thought it was pretty good, though. Okay, we got real serious at first, and today I'm going to invite you to talk with me and Adam Willia. Adam, how we doing, buddy? Welcome back to the Gun Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition.
I'm doing great, man. You got me stoked, man. I feel I'm ready to chew through barbed wire after that intro, man. That was awesome.
You like that intro?
I actually really do.
It was the first time I got to do it, so I'm going to rewrite it a little bit as I go on with this podcast.
Edit out the word ingenuity so you can cruise through.
Right? That's the one. This is the one tongue twister that got me today. So what else I want to do is kind of make this fun, right? So I have a couple of really bad jokes we're going to start this off with.
Perfect.
We're going to leave a slight pause before you even attempt to answer, even if you don't want to. We're going to try to let the audience have an attempt as well. So the first one is, why did the manufacturing worker get promoted?
Why did the manufacturing worker get promoted?
Because he had a lot of assembly experience. Boom. Okay, this one's a little bit better. That one was real bad. Well, we got to do dad jokes. I'm at the age. Christian just rolling his eyes behind the scenes back there. I'm going to let Christian answer this one. Christian, get your microphone ready. What's a machinist's favorite movie?
The Machinist?
Ooh, that would be a good one. But that's probably not a joke, right? That might be the real answer. The answer is Gone in 60 Seconds because it's about how quickly their tools disappear.
Especially at 10 millimeter.
Yeah, that one always goes away at first, doesn't it? All right, so a couple of bad jokes to start off the show. Adam, I have you here. Obviously, Fanuc is on your shirt. I have personally, I'm sure you have as well, been to Japan, been over to Europe, been here to Michigan. The facilities are phenomenal. They're sexy. Their automation is not the future anymore. It's maybe even we should have started 10, 15 years ago at this point, even though a lot of people think automation is the future. You brought me a cool gift today. If we could zoom in on this a little bit, Christian. Thank you so much for this, Adam. This is a cool little Fanuc robot here.
Yeah.
Definitely going on the swag wall behind me. Appreciate that, Adam.
Yes,
and then I have a short story. So this piece here that we're looking at, this is a Lego block, a machined Lego block. And we did this on a robo drill with a Fanuc robot arm, and it was from raw block to finished piece and packaged by the end of it, and this was done at A&B in Germany. They were nice enough to gift this to me because we were actually utilizing the air turbine spindle going 65,000 RPM to do small detailed stuff at about, well, we were in Germany, so it would have been millimeter, but let's say about 10,000, 15,000 diameter of the tool, making those small cuts. So now that I've hyped up this whole thing, Adam.
Yeah.
I want to know about you. The audience wants to know about you. We're going to bring in some of the Fanuc stuff as well.
Yep.
Because before we sat down in our seats, you blew the mind of our guys here going, well, this is how big Fanuc is. But before we do that, your journey, your excitement, how did you get here? Do you like where you are? Was it on purpose? Did you mean to be here?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all. I love that answer.
I know, and I'm happy to dive into that. So, yeah, dude, just the little 10,000-foot view of myself. I'm the district sales manager for Fanuc Robotics. So in the Fanuc world, there's the CNC and robo drill cutting, there's injection molding machine, there's all kinds of servo motion, and my world is in the robotic side. So I take care of all of the robot customers throughout the state of Florida and throughout the Caribbean. So
Nice.
Puerto Rico, Dominican.
¿Tú hablas español?
Sí, un poco.
Okay.
Enough to get by.
Yeah, excellent.
And so yeah, but what's cool is my journey was never intended to be sales, nor was it intended to be Florida of all things. And now I'm a salesman in Florida.
Starting in Michigan, growing up, right?
Dude, 100%. Born and raised in West Michigan, and if you can't hear from the accent, every now and then you hear the Yoopers in Sarasota, and don't you know? Yeah, that's the Yankee in me, but. So honestly, diving into that just a little bit, a little glancing blow there is I actually started out earning my Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineering. So I'm a double E.
You're one of those smart guys.
I try to be. I fooled a lot of people for 4 years.
Is that what happened?
And so Grand Valley State University out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
And got a job, and I'll actually love to dive into this a little farther, but
we will.
But got a job as a controls engineer out of school. Got sick of the snow and the ice, couldn't handle it anymore. Just another Yankee that got smart, and ended up moving to Charlotte, North Carolina. Hung out in Charlotte, North Carolina, working for Fanuc, having a good time. And then we should probably touch on this too, but that pivotal moment in life where I decided to go from engineering to that dark side of sales. Yeah.
We call it that, but it's
call it
not
the
quite
dark
as dark
side.
once you get here.
It's not. There's cookies.
That's how I got tempted, was the cookies. Just like Santa Claus, That's how he got around the world. So, Adam, I want to touch real quick, because you said you didn't mean to be here, the dark side of sales, but you did go to school to be an electrical engineer,
Yes.
which certainly has the word engineer in it, which is kind of what people think about when they think about manufacturing, certainly on the outside. In high school, what kind of a person were you like? Were you that type of student that loved math? Did you despise math? Did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? Did you know what manufacturing was? Did you have an idea?
Dude, that is the best question. That's the one thing that I really love to talk about, like my nieces and nephews and kids in the STEM labs and everything in local schools is I had no clue what manufacturing was, what it meant. I didn't know automation. I couldn't spell PLC. Literally had no idea. But at the time in high school, math came so effortless to me. I bombed out of chemistry and biology, so I knew that was off the table. Art and reading and literature, and dude, I don't think I ever read a book cover to cover. If you remember back in the day, SparkNotes.com. That's how I survived.
Nice.
But dude, when it came to math, I was always in AP math. What was funny is I used to show up to my math classes with nothing, like literally empty-handed, no books, no notebooks, no pens, no pencils, no calculator. Sit in the back of the room, and if something important popped up, I'd reach over to the recycle bin and grab a piece of scrap paper and just write it down so that I could remember it. And dude, I would just ace the daylights out of everything. Calculus, pre-calc, calc, diffie-q, all that stuff. I was taking college math in high school, so I knew I had a very logical and mathematical oriented brain. So then it was, how do I make a living out of this? And that's where my parents and my peers are like, oh, you got to be an engineer. You got the knack. If you've never seen the knack, go on YouTube and type Dilbert the knack. It's a funny little joke, but I had that where I could just understand mechanics. I could understand, and part of that was probably because of my dad too. We grew up in a household, maybe it's just because we were poor, but where we fixed everything. Right.
Okay,
if there was a plumbing issue, we were plumbers that day. If there was electrical, we were an electrician. And my dad was a motorcycle mechanic, so grew up souping up Harleys and racing dirt bikes and all that. So I understood mechanics, I understood fitment, and I was really good at math. And so it thrust me into engineering.
That's very curious. Christian, how were you at math in high school?
Awful.
Yeah.
Probably most people.
Yeah,
I would say.
I think a lot of us, me included, when we think about math as a teenager, we're all going, "That's my least favorite subject."
Mm-hmm.
You as well, right, Christian?
100%.
Yeah.
By far, least favorite.
I didn't get very far, but I didn't get very far in the sciences either, to be fair. So school was tough for me all around. So you have been on a really cool path, a trajectory of understanding your own strengths. I'm going to ask you about a potential weakness. How's your art side, since you seem to be very left-brained, right?
The only thing that I halfway can do art, and it's not even art, is I can draw comics really good.
Can you?
I love drawing comics. And part of that was I was so bored in school and so not paying attention that I would draw comics in my other class, so I could do comics. But as far as like true art, you go to you go to an art museum or one of these expos or whatever, dude, don't give me oil, don't give me brush. There's no way. I'm musically inclined. I play a lot of piano.
Do you?
Yeah, piano, trumpet, play all that. But again, that's math. People don't think of it, but a piano is octaves, whole steps, half steps is very mathematical. 1, 3, 5 is a major chord, and it's math. So when I sit down to a piano, I don't see white and black notes. I see numbers, and it's hammers and strings, and it kind of resonates with me.
I never thought of it that way.
Yep, it's math.
That's really cool. Okay, so do you have any of that artwork still sitting around?
I have some on my phone.
Do you really?
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is, as we're talking about this, and if it's possible, I would love for you to send me some of that. I'm going to have my editing team try to pop that into our conversation right now we're talking. If you pull it up on your phone, maybe Christian can zoom in as well. That's very creative.
All right, so here's an innocent little one here that I drew of myself walking. Where should I aim it, Christian? This way?
Right, this way.
All right. So this is a comic that I made. And it's actually me on the screen walking my wiener dog. So my wife and I have 2 little dachshunds, and I'm telling the dog, man, it's hot out today. And then I go, man, I'm kind of hungry. I'm famished. I could really eat a hot dog. And the dog's, oh crap, and he gets super scared because my hot dog is scared.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have all kinds of them. I make jokes about customers that don't have budget, and I make jokes about bad movies I've seen, and.
Well, let's not show too much of that. Somebody might hire you on the spot to start doing comic writing. I actually did a tour of the Walt Disney Museum out in San Francisco, and
nice.
I would, when you said I'm not an artist, I would beg to differ, because when I saw the wall of how shows were being made 50 years ago or so, it was what you just showed me. Yeah. So you have a very creative side as well as an analytical side and programming side. So let's continue on that journey.
Yeah.
What was the next step? Once you got your degree, did you kind of have an idea of what you wanted to pursue with it?
So what was really interesting is, I'll even back that up just before getting my degree. So I decided I'm going for engineering. I nailed that down. While I was in one of my electronics classes, we were supposed to take a trip to a power plant in Holland, Michigan, west side of Michigan. And something had happened and we couldn't get into the power plant that day. So now my professor's like, I got a bus full of engineering students. I don't know what to do with them. And professor called up an automation company and said, would you be able to do an impromptu field trip, for lack of a better term? I got a group of 18-year-old kids here, 19-year-old kids. Could we do a field trip? Now, remember, at this time, I had no idea what manufacturing was, no idea what automation was. I just knew I was good at math and needed to be an engineer. That's all the guidance I had in my life.
We're still at that point right now. Okay.
We walked into a company that recently sold for $7 billion, but at the time it was on a dirt road in a barn. It was called JR Automation. And JR Automation hosted us. The president at the time was Brian Jones, and I walked in and I saw my first robot. Pop my robot cherry, right?
Do you mind saying what year this was?
This would have been, if I was 18, it would have been 2006-ish.
Okay.
So 06 ballpark.
Yeah, I was my first robot I ever programmed, or cobot I ever programmed, was about 2004 or 5, and we had it stirring coffee.
Oh,
and that's it. That's before I left that company. That was all we had to do. So I'm familiar with the time frame of you popping your robot cherry.
Yeah, there you go, dude. Right. So I walk in, and dude, my eyes just exploded. Everyone else is kind of ho hum. We're on a field trip. It's a joke day, whatever. And I just started melting. I'm like, what are these? You know, I was like, this can't be real. You know, and I was like, do you guys make these? What are these? And they're like, no, we buy them. You know, Fanuc. And a lot of them were Fanuc.
Were they?
And not all of them, but most of them were Fanuc. And
Seems to be the general rule in our industry.
Yeah. And at the end of the tour, President Brian Jones said to the class, "Hey, what do you guys want to do when you graduate?" And everyone sat there silent, and I popped my hand up and I go, "That right there, whatever you got on your floor, that's what I want." He says, "Come talk to me when everyone leaves." And Brian Jones gave me an internship on the spot. He's like,
kidding.
You're hired." I'm like, I don't know what any of that is, but it looks cool. And so I started as an intern at JR Automation, working my way through college. And that was one of the most beneficial things in my life because I was getting the real world experience of robots, PLCs, HMIs, conveyors, servo drives, vision systems. I was getting that real world experience while earning my degree. So now getting to your part, when I got my degree, did I want to know what I wanted to do? They just took me on full time.
You knew.
It was a formality at that point. I just needed the piece of paper that said they could hire me.
I'm going to take a step back as well with you because along that journey you just described, did you also say dirt road in a barn?
Yep.
Dirt road in a barn with automation.
Yes, sir.
In 2005-06.
Yes, sir. And I can show you that in 2024 here in Florida.
Would you have expected something like that walking into a barn?
No, dude. Seriously, a big red barn. Like it literally behind a blueberry field. Nonetheless, this isn't even like if I'm painting the picture here. It's Tyler Street, which is now like a 4-lane highway. But Tyler Street was a gravel road with blueberry fields on either side, and you forged right down that thing. And dude, in the wintertime, you almost needed 4-wheel drive to get to work. And they sold at one point to some kind of a private equity firm or a VC firm, but then they sold to Hitachi. You'd have to fact check me, but it was like either 4 billion or 7 billion or something ridiculous. I was employee 183. My badge was 183.
Wow.
Now they've got 2,000 or 3,000 employees, and they're all over. They've got like 5 campuses in Michigan. They're down in Carolina. They're everywhere.
Did you keep that badge?
Yeah. I don't know if I did.
Might be a collector's item.
I did because with that badge, I kept 2 pay stubs specifically. We used to get paid weekly, and there were 2 pay stubs that I kept, and I kept them because both of them were over 90 hours in a 7-day work week. And I need that to sink into you and the listeners, that 90 billable hours in 7 days. I did that twice.
Well, you're charging the robots? Aren't they supposed to do that work for you?
Someone's got to commission them, man.
Yeah, apparently so.
Someone's got to program these things.
All of us who are taking advantage of our shorter work weeks, you're putting in 90 hours to get it done for us.
90-hour work weeks, baby.
All right, Adam, what I want to do right now, and we're going to continue on your journey, but I want to sidestep in just for a moment because your passion is infectious. It's obvious to me you walked into a barn when you were supposed to be picking blueberries out in a field. That's what you were really supposed to be doing. Yeah. You decided to stray away from your group and walk into the barn and see what was in there. You found a robot and you fell in love.
True.
So from your story to a lot of other people's stories, they might not fall in love quite that quickly. And there are definitely people out there that do. I mean, these yellow robots we have all around us are fascinating. And to see what they do in worlds of like automotive, for example, it's an easy one to pick out where you can just see an entire car be put together in an automation line. I want you, if you wouldn't mind, to share a bit of your passion and speak to an audience. Pretend you're talking to Christian, pretend you're talking to Ben, who are outside of manufacturing. What excites you? What makes this so fun for you and enjoyable where somebody might want to get in on it as well?
Yeah, they work 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week and they're paying themselves 50 grand. And last time they took a vacation was 1998.
This dude has sold out. He's all in.
So me personally, I cannot wait to visit this shop with you guys. So should we go pay this young man a visit?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Let's
Come on,
do it.
guys.
Yeah, 100%. So what really amped me up more than anything about robotics and automation specifically is you get to start with an idea. It's literally something that's not real. It's a thought. It's a brainstorming session, and that idea manifests itself into something real and moving. So let me take that a step. Like when I was in college, we were doing a lot of programming classes and things like that. And okay, you write some code, you click compile. Yup, the code works. Okay, whatever. But when you're working with a robot and you're programming it and you say compile, that robot starts running and zipping and moving things around, and there's servos screaming and there's parts being built and just stuff's happening, right? And it's just exciting and kind of scary and intimidating. You're like, I hope I don't crash something. But what's so cool is you can take an idea, someone that says, hey, I need to make this widget, I need to make that thing, and that idea goes onto paper. And then from paper, it goes into a computer system and CAD and that. Then it goes to a machine shop and starts getting fabricated. Then it starts getting wired and plumbed and programmed. And then before you know it, there's this thing that has never existed. You can't go buy it. You can't go buy that machinery. It never existed. You can't buy it, but you just manifested it out of an idea. And if that amps you up, that you can create something that's brand new and you can be the pioneer and solve problems for the very first time, where you can't Google your way through it. You have to solve it. That's what really turned me on, is like, dude, I'm going to type this code and I'm going to push it to the robot and I'm going to cross my fingers and hope it doesn't rip itself apart, which sometimes I do.
I was going to ask you that question. Have you done that before?
All good programmers are going to crash.
Yeah.
You're going to crash. The president of our company, the Mike Chico, the president of Fanuc, he always tells a story of where there was this huge tall stack of wine glasses, and he programmed a robot that they were picking in place, and he hit the stack, and just thousands of bottles of wine glasses just everywhere. I mean, imagine the bill, right?
Good grief.
Oh, but I mean, and that's the thing is, I mean, you can be the best. I hope Mike doesn't get mad at me for telling that. Sorry, Mike, I love you, man. Let me keep my job, brother. But I've done that stuff too, man. Where well, I'll give mine. I used to do a lot of work for Magna Mirrors. It's a company in West Michigan that makes mirrors for Ford, Toyota, Honda, anything for outside mirrors. And we had a whole shipment of glass come in, and we were going to use robots to assemble and test and inspect. And I bet you a few thousand pieces of glass ended up on the floor because of Adam Willett. and I have to call up Megan and be like, hey, remember those like 3,000 sample parts you sent? Can I get 3,000 more?
What was that call like?
Oh, dude. I mean, it just you just cringe. You're sweating before you even pick up the phone, and your boss is mad. And but you know what? Stuff like that is almost easier to replace than the stuff you build, because I've crashed machines too.
Yeah.
Where, like I said, somebody had to machine a collar or a part or a shaft or whatever, and then I program it wrong and it crashes and it rips itself apart. Now I have to walk to the back of the shop, and tell the guy sitting at the mill, be like, hey, dude, I need you to make me a new one of these collars, because, that robot went straight through it. So
I want to make the discussion with you, because I've found that as we get deeper and deeper into our professions, we oftentimes it's by accident as well, which is why I'm glad you picked the game that we're going to play later on, called Industry Jargon, which is just breaking down complicated conversations about manufacturing and making it simple. But we do a lot of times, you and I can talk at a very high level. I mean, you're in the industry of Fanuc for a while. You went to college for it. I myself have never fully programmed a robot like you have, but I've visited all the locations that I mentioned before, and some of your so-called competition as well, right? So we get caught talking at this level. Mm-hmm. Would you make the discussion that people who love video games could work out really well in the robotics world also?
Dude, like, have you seen I don't know if you or anyone have you guys seen Gran Turismo, the
newer one,
the new one?
Yeah, where it's all like he's actually that's based on a true story, right?
It's a 100% true story. So this dude was a gamer, and that's all he did was just game. But like, he could race Le Mans like thousands of times, so he had it memorized. Mm-hmm. They're like, all we got to do is take this guy and like get him in shape, put him in a real car, and he did. He ended up going on being a champion. So like, I'm gonna say that translates a bit. Like, I see a lot of gamers get into software development and computer sciences. I don't know necessarily that it does or does not help them in the robotics and automation side, because their side is probably more of that artistic side.
Okay.
Right. Like if you're getting into that graphic design and development and things like that, the people I see really excel in robotics and automation are more of the tinkerers, people who you can
Same
see.
people for the CNC world,
Dude,
then, the tinkerers.
The kids who tear apart mom's VCR and then
Yeah.
and then can't put it back together or whatever. Just love the inner workings of, well, how does that work? And I remember being a kid trying to figure out how our Lazy Boy recliner worked. Like I could see all the mechanisms and springs. I'm like, why is that spring there and there? And I'm literally crawling under there, and my dad could hear the tools clanking. He's like, "What are you doing under there?" Nothing.
Well, you mentioned the frugalness of when you were growing up as well, and I can
yeah.
empathize with that.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a time in my life where I used eBay and yard sales to buy broken things, fix them, and sell them again.
Yep.
I survived off of fixing and selling things on eBay for about a year and a half.
Totally.
So I get that tinkering side, which is maybe why we're both in this industry.
Yeah.
Let's continue with your journey a bit, because I do want to talk a bit about Fanuc today, because you guys are so massive everywhere. And if we can, obviously you're on the robotic side, but we can talk about the robo drill side a little bit as well. But let's continue with your journey. So you were person 130 something, right?
Yeah, 183 at JR.
183,
yeah,
and then it gets expands.
Yeah,
and you've now moved on to what's next.
Yeah. So at one point I'd been traveling way too much and had a sexy new fiance at home, and those 90-hour weeks weren't going over real well. Okay. And so I decided I loved my job, I loved my career, but JR was beating the daylights out of me, so I wanted something a little more local. And I started with another automation company in West Michigan called R&D Machine and Tool. And that, again, similar story, controls engineering, programming robots and PLCs and doing all that kind of stuff. But there was a breaking moment in my life where my wife and I decided we can't be in Michigan anymore. And that was...
Do you want to describe the breaking moment?
I will tell you that breaking moment.
We get that on here today. I like that.
The breaking moment, because life was good. Life was good. We had a beautiful house. My wife was a nurse. I was an engineer. We were dinks, dual income, no kids. Life was good, right? Dead middle of winter, probably January, February, it's 10 degrees outside with a wind chill of -15. Up north, Myers is the main grocery store, like Publix.
Okay, yeah.
Publix of the north is Myers.
Okay.
And we're walking out of Myers with our grocery cart full of groceries, and the wind is whipping and just icing up my eyes and nose, and the cart, I can't push it because it's like slush and ice and snow, and I'm freezing and I'm wet and I'm cold, and the cart like hit something and like tipped over, and all the groceries go on the floor on the wet pavement, and I'm just like, my wife's name is Nicole. I'm like, Nicole, you want these groceries? You put them in the truck. I'm going home. I snapped. I'm like, I'm so sick and tired of living this life, And we got home and we sat down. And we're like, dude, like, we got to get out of here before we get too rooted, because we were in our 20s. It was just us, no kids, no nothing. Well, just us. Our whole families were there. So that was the Band-Aid.
That's what keeps a lot of people in the Midwest, right?
And it was so hard, right? Tight Midwest family. And my wife and I were like, dude, my wife loves fishing. She loves beaches. She loves kayaking and hiking. Me, I love motorcycles, whether it's motocross, hare scrambles, GNCC, whatever, Harleys. I want to be on a bike. She wants to be on a beach. And we lived in snowy, frozen Michigan. And we just said, you know what? This is going to suck, but it's for the better. And so we picked up and moved, and we moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina. And that pivot is when I started working for Fanuc.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not from Michigan.
Okay.
But I've traveled there quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Am I wrong in thinking that the west side of Michigan is also the colder side with more snow coming off the water there?
Lake effect snow, dude.
Yeah.
It would, how Florida, like in the summer, it typically rains every single day at 4 o'clock?
For about an hour.
For about an hour?
Yeah.
Okay, that was Michigan snow all winter long. Every single day, you basically just get snow. It was miserable.
That sounds fantastic. No, I'm just kidding. Not for me either. I like beaches as well. I'm with your wife,
Yeah.
and I like motorcycles. I like you. Yeah, that's a good call. So we're now in Charlotte.
So now we're in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fast forward a couple years of life, because again, I moved to Charlotte. I started working for Fanuc, which was a huge honor. I was just shocked they would even hire a little nobody.
They
from
saw
Michigan.
something in you.
They saw something, man. They brought me on, and here's what was kind of pivotal. Again, we loved our life. We lived on Lake Norman. We had a jet boat. Wife was still a nurse. I'm still an engineer. Like, life was good again. Let's just stay here forever. And my boss, hey, Adam, what do you think about going into sales? I'm like, no way. I told him, absolutely not, never, no way. I said, I can't even sell a candy bar when I was in the Cub Scouts, right? Like, go door to door, like, will you support the Cub Scouts? Yeah. No, I can't sell. I'm like, I'm not a sales guy. I can't sell. And he's like, well, you might want to think about it. Dude, I think his name he's still with Fanuc. His name's Dick Motley. And Dick would come to my office, hey, man, you think about sales? Yeah, you think about sales? No, dude, I don't want to. I'm happy. I'm good. And he keep bugging me. And finally, he came and he said, look, I just got corporate approval. I have to hire another guy for the Southeast because the Charlotte office takes care of the whole like SEC. He said, we're growing too big. We're going too fast. We need a sales guy. I'm like, all right, what's the catch? What do I got to do? He says, the catch is you have to live in Florida. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
That doesn't sound so bad, does it?
Yeah, I'm like, hold on, Dick. Let me go talk to Nicole. And so I went home and I told her, I'm like, babe, what do you think about moving again? Now, we'd only been in Charlotte for like 2 years. Like, we were just getting settled in. Life was good. And she's like, oh, well, let's go check it out. And we went to Florida and we checked it out. And I'm not going to lie, we hated it.
Did you?
Hated it.
What didn't you like about it?
We're like, this is a bunch of old people and Disneyland tourists. And I'm like, this sucks. It was hot and sticky and old people. I'm like, no way, man. And so I came back. I told Dick, I said, I'll make you a deal. I says, I'll go into sales and I'll move to Florida and I'll sell your robots in Florida. That's cool. But as soon as you get an opportunity for me to come back to Charlotte and be a sales guy back in Carolina, bring me back. Huh. He goes, okay, sounds good. So moved down to Florida. And dude, I'm going to tell you, once Florida gets its hooks in you, I actually got that opportunity to go back to North Carolina. And I said, no. We're Floridians now, man, through and through, man.
What hooked you about Florida? Oh, before we do that, you may as well go ahead and just turn that Darth Vader head around because joining the dark side, right?
Oh,
You join the
let the darkness consume you.
So what were the hooks of Florida? What attracted you?
Dude, once we got for us, we live in the Bradenton area, so just south of Tampa. And like, man,
lovely area.
Oh, dude, hanging out at Siesta Key beaches and St. Armands and, buzzing up to St. Pete, Clearwater and Tampa and just the food scene. And again, my wife could get out on the boat and the beaches. And dude, I can ride my motorcycle 365 days. I've never golfed before. I started golfing. I love golf now. I golf, I ride dirt, I ride road. And so what happened is all of a sudden we just started getting fit. Like we literally lost weight. We were healthier, happier. And we're like, wait a minute, this is awesome. By the way, this is not a sales pitch. Please don't move to Florida. we have Florida's
too
awful.
Many people.
There's alligators and pythons and love bugs.
They're going to eat you.
And it's hot. Yeah.
They're definitely going to eat you.
This is not a sales pitch for
It's
Florida.
way too hot. Mosquitoes are huge.
Oh yeah, the mosquitoes are. Yeah, in fact, Florida sucks. Nobody should ever live here. Yeah. But no, it did. It got its hooks in us, and now we're like here to stay, man. I love it, and I'll be honest too. I think a big part of it is the friends I've made through business. Being in sales, it's not like you hear sales and it's such a negative term, right? They think of door to door, vacuum cleaner guys. My kind of sales is solution based. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm an engineer. I think like an engineer. I go into my day-to-day life is an episode of how it's made, right? You get to go in and see these factories where weird stuff is made, from trach tubes to pacemakers to dog biscuits to diapers to guns to grenade launchers. Like I've seen some of the craziest stuff you can ever dream of in Florida, by the way. And I get to go there and help these guys improve their process. Like, hey, what kind of problems do you have making these closet racks, or making these coffee mugs? What do you got? Okay, well, let's take a look at it. And it's solution-based selling. And I'm like, well, I can't solve all your problems, but I sure as heck can solve these right here by putting a robot here. Takes your labor pool and you don't replace them, you displace them. Say, the people you have putting the widget in a box all day or taking in and out of a machine, let them go and start doing some of the clerical work, or mm-hmm. let them keep the robot fed, And so what happened is, as I'm going around doing solution-based, I started making friends. more friends than we got time on this show for me to tell. But dude, I love the people I work with. I love the integration companies who take our robots and put them in machines. I love the end users who have them on the floor. I'm just having too much fun. So the job was fun. It's stressful. It's long hours, but it's fun. It's eternal paradise. I'll be on my dirt bike this weekend. If I was in Michigan, I'd be shoveling snow this weekend.
I was just going to ask you, you haven't crashed any grocery carts lately in the snow, have you?
Nope, I haven't done that in a long time.
So what I want to do, Adam, from here is, I think it would be remiss of me not to, talk about Fanuc on a little bit bigger level. I'm sure there's an audience right now that has been very excited about your story. You're very passionate about what you do, and thank you for being that type of person. We need more in the industry like you for sure, so thank you for that. Yeah. But there's definitely some people out there right now that are sitting in their machine shops thinking about automation. What should I do? How should I go? So would you mind talking about the amount of history, the amount of the industry that Fanuc take care of, the overall support, the legacy that Fanuc really is? If you could touch on some of that to maybe convey the message of why a machine shop out there might want to lean in your direction.
100%, dude. And I'm going to tell you guys this too. Like I can cover my name badge for this too, because I don't think Fanuc's the best because I work at Fanuc. I work at Fanuc because I think it's the best. So when I used to work at the other integration firms, they were not all Fanuc. All right, I got to program the Epsons, the Denzos, tinkered with the Universals, got to play with some weird Chinese knockoff brands. I got to play with other stuff, and there is a reason Fanuc's number one. So the big thing about Fanuc, more than any other company, is the level of support. And it's something that Fanuc has invested just millions and millions of dollars in. And let me tell you a little bit about that. Is Fanuc is the only robotics company on Earth that has a U.S.-based, a United States-based development team. So every other brand you work with, China, Europe, Denmark, it's all overseas. Fanuc has Fanuc USA product development. And what's cool about that is if you have a question about, like, let's say you had your Dell laptop open and you had a problem, it'd be like calling Bill Gates and saying, hey, Bill, WTF, fix this. You can do that with Fanuc. You can call the guy who wrote the code on that robot, and he or she will tell you, this is what we got to do. And if it's not an easy fix, we make the patch. Fanuc has 25 facilities just in North America alone. I think it's 230-ish, 237-ish globally. And so we're regionally supported for support structure. We've got 24/7, 365 call support. So when you have a problem, dude, you can call us at 2 a.m. Christmas Eve. Hey, I got this problem. You're getting an answer from our team. We've got, actually, I'll tell you another fun part. Fanuc is the only robotics company on Earth that guarantees parts for life. For life.
Wow.
We never obsolete anything ever. For your CNCs, your robo drills, your injection molding machines, your robots, you could have a 40-year-old machine that has a punch card reader on it. Your punch card goes out, you call us, we'll sell you a new punch card reader.
Well, I've done a couple of interviews with people who are trying to do that, and additive manufacturing comes in a lot in those parts that aren't being made anymore. But the only one in the world. I mean, you're really throwing down some stats today, Adam. I like it,
dude. Fanuc's the real deal, man. And that's the thing. Like, you buy a Fanuc, you buy it once. You buy it, you have it for life. And actually, it can be tricky too, because some of the other robots out there, they get recurring sales because their stuff, it breaks down. It's engineered to wear out, right? That's why do you think you buy a new iPhone every 2 years? It's because they turn down the old one, right? With Fanuc, I go places where I walk in the door and they've got a Fanuc that's older than my wife and it's still running. And I'm not that much of a cradle robber, I'm just saying. But they've got robots that are 30 years old, and they're kicking ass. They're running, they're working, they're humming along. I'm like, hey, have you thought about replacing it? Nope. It runs great. I'm like, cool, call me if you need anything. So, that's what I'd say. Now, I really lean on support with Fanuc. And I'm actually going to use this platform for the next 20 seconds to tell you this, and I will cover my name badge for this, because I've worked with a lot of different brands, okay? And the best 3 robot brands in an unbiased, I don't care what my W-2 says, unbiased opinion, the best 3 brands are ABB, KUKA, and Fanuc. It's the Swiss, the Germans, and the Japanese, okay? Then there's this whole middle tier of people that are like decent robots, your Epson, your Denso, your Staubli, your Yamaha, Yaskawa, all that kind of stuff kind of hangs in the middle, like, yeah, it's okay. Then you got just like the throwaway robots, which in my opinion are like the Universals and things like that, where, sorry, I'm just going to say it, they're just a junk robot. I don't care who I work for, they're just not good. And so how Fanuc gets ahead is support, because I just said ABB and KUKA are pretty awesome. Those are 30, 40-year robots. They'll last your whole life. They've got great technology. So why doesn't anyone buy ABB and KUKA? They don't have the support. You call for programming help, tough luck. You need spare parts? Sorry. You know, so that's where Fanuc puts its, you know, not only has Fanuc been around, we just celebrated our 45th year anniversary. So we're as a company, one of the oldest ones. We sold our 1 millionth robot last year.
Congratulations again.
1 million robots on the planet. So, you know, we've been around, we've paid our dues, best technology, best support. Dude, I really can't say enough good things about Fanuc as a company.
That was really wonderfully said, and you even had me chuckling a couple of times as well. You're talking about support. I want to expand on that a little bit because, you know, Robbie K with Aceta is a good friend of ours. You got the Methods Machine Tools guys who we both work with as well. You know, you have integrators, you have partners as well.
Yes.
So when we're talking about service and support, where do they come into play?
These business owners work hard, and they just don't accumulate any wealth.
And it's hard to meet people or do much if I'm working all the time, so.
He's asking for help, and he thinks he's going out of business. The reason I got into this business is so I could help other people, because I remember how much I needed someone to come alongside me when I owned my shop, and now I have the privilege where I can do that for other people.
Oh, 100%. So, you know, Fanuc, our world begins and ends with a robot. Now, a robot is a really nice boat anchor until you do something with it.
I've seen some that aren't moving in the corner of shops. Not necessarily Fanuc, but I've seen them as boat anchors.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I can sell one robot to company A and one robot to company B, and company A can make millions of dollars with it, and company B can set it in a corner, okay? And so a robot's a boat anchor. It truthfully is, until somebody puts end-of-arm tooling on it and puts sensors on it and air and electric and pneumatics and programming and makes it work. Where that magic comes from is our integration partners.
Yeah.
And Fanuc has invested, actually, I'll give you another fun stat. Can you tell I'm a numbers guy?
Absolutely. I'm really glad you are, though.
I'm starting to feel like Mike Ross from Suits. So
he's brilliant as well. Good little TV show
I
there.
know, right? Yeah, I love it, man. Fanuc, we started a program called the Authorized System Integrator Program, ASI. And Fanuc was like, okay, we're making these robots. We can't program them all. We need an army to do this. So we train and certify and grow these integration firms all over the world, but certainly all over in America, that they will buy our robots and then integrate them for the end customer, right? So if you wanted to make, you know, more of these Darth Vader helmets, you don't necessarily have to be a robot guy. You just got to hire the robot guy and get your machine running, and then life is good. You got Darth Vader helmets. When we started the program in 1992, our integrators purchased 430, I want to say it was 437 robots in their first year. Cumulatively, since 92, our integrators have purchased over 83,000 robots. So just our integrators make up 1/10 of our business. I just told you we sold 1 million robots, right? They're almost 100,000 of it. So these integration firms are the value add middleman that help company X deploy robots, because not everyone is a robot wizard or a mechanical guy or electrical guy. Like, you got to hire the guy to do it, you know? Or maybe you are mechanical, but you don't have time, right? Like, my wife is like, hey, we got to redo the kitchen cabinets. I can redo kitchen cabinets. I ain't got the time. So now I got to hire the cabinet guy to come and do the cabinets, right? Same thing with robots. You know, I know people who are very well capable of doing a robot. They got to hire an integrator to get in there and get the job done.
That's very well said and explained. It helps me understand it as well. I'm sure the audience. I'm going to pick your brain one more time because
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying your insight, Adam. I got to be honest. It's truly, one of the best conversations I've had about robotics. So thank you for doing that. Now, you mentioned part of your territory is the Caribbean, I believe, right?
Sí.
Sí. Not everyone in the Caribbean speaks Spanish, but sí, claro.
Claro. Yeah.
I travel the world often,
Mm-hmm.
and there are conversations, whether they're true or not, there are conversations where countries like Japan, Korea, the US, the UK, Germany, Switzerland, these countries are fairly well adapted to automation, even if we could make the discussion that the US we're still trying to pick up our automation game. And then I'll travel to places like Mexico, Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, these places where they still have very low wages and can just throw people at machines instead of automation. What would you say to an audience out there listening to this right now in one of those countries where you would say, look, I know you have people, but this is why automation will benefit you as well?
Oh God, dude, I'm so glad you said that. And I wish we had another hour. So
me
Dude,
too.
bro,
Can you
this
come
is so
back
good.
at some point?
Yeah,
We can do a
let's
part two to this.
We're gonna do a part two. So America's way behind in automation. I'm gonna give you another stat. It's fun that I have these. So.
Thank you, Mark Russ.
Yeah, right. So Section 49B/paragraph 2. In America, the ratio of human workers in manufacturing compared to robots, there are 1,100 humans for every robot. So it's 1,100 people to one robot in manufacturing. You go to South Korea, you go to China, it's more like 100 to 1.
Okay, big
so that
difference.
means huge.
Yeah.
That means that the number of robots compared to the number of humans, they have 10x what we have.
Yeah.
So why do you think they can make stuff so cheap, right? Some of it is material cost, but a lot of it is they're not putting bodies on it. Okay. So now let's flip the script and talk about the Caribbean, right?
And before we do,
okay.
real quick, I would make the hesitated guess to go that people are still miscommunicated on that information, thinking that they're still throwing people at it over in China.
Oh yeah,
and
no,
that's just
not at
not
all.
the case. It's
No.
automation. That's a great stat. Thank you.
They're 10x ahead of us.
Yeah.
10x.
Okay. So Caribbean.
So now you go to the Caribbean, and I'll give you a perfect example. There's a company in the Dominican that makes the plasma machine. So when you donate blood, you get one poke, and you fill up an IV bag or 2 or 3 or whatever, and hey, it goes in a freezer. Thank you. When you donate plasma, you get 2 pokes. All right. One is to draw the blood, then the blood goes through a machine. There's a centrifuge that separates the plasma from the blood and then puts the blood back in another port. So it's out of you, into a machine, back into you. If they're pumping something into your veins, can you imagine the level of cleanliness that machine has to be built and spec to, right? Okay. So when you're in the Dominican and people are working for 50 cents an hour, and they work hard.
They don't care about that dirt, do they?
Dude, I mean, they work and they work hard, but you go to these places, it's like, dude, you got to have all these provisions and measures for clean rooms and wash down and all these inspections and FDA, Or you slap a robot on there, dude. An IP69 clean room robot with the FDA grease, stainless steel fittings, and let that robot build that machine. And that thing will always be whisper clean, particulate free, and it works 24 hours, and you don't have to worry about it. And those workers, now they can just be shuttling things in and out when they're needed and when they're done. Let them be material handlers, not assemblers. So in the Caribbean, huge market for medical, huge. I mean, you've got the Medtronic, Fresenius, Johnson & Johnson, Baxter. It's amazing how much medical is in the Caribbean. Yeah,
That's also fascinating. I
medical.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew the part about the clean room and stuff
Yeah,
and how important
yeah,
it was. I didn't
yeah.
realize it was a lot sitting in the Caribbean.
A lot. There used to be huge tax incentives to bring the business down there. I know the government's done some weird, wacky things, and I'm not a politician, so I don't know. But because of that, there was a time where all these businesses just grew like crazy on the islands.
So when we both transition from our current careers, you want to start a automated machine shop in the island somewhere?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I think we could do
Absolutely,
this
man.
together.
Yeah. Private jet. Yeah.
Yeah, and you say you couldn't sell anything as a Boy Scout, but you sold me me on this idea. So it's that solution-based mentality,
there you
right?
go. See, I didn't sell you a business. I sold you a solution. Now
It's
we're
an
going to make
idea.
a
Oh
business in the
gosh,
Caribbean.
yeah. We're gonna do this. We'll bring Christian along too. We'll figure out what he could do later. We'll figure that out. He's already in love with manufacturing. He's a smart dude. All right. So, is there anything before we slide into these games, as we have a few minutes left? Is there anything that I didn't ask you today that you think, because I too would like another hour, but we don't have it.
Right?
Is there anything I didn't ask you today? Any messages you'd like to convey? Anything about Fanuc, your own journey, to the kids out there? Anything that you'd like to say?
Yep. I think the last thing I would like to say is I want to just touch on mentor-mentee relationships.
Okay.
It is my personal belief in this world that knowledge is the one thing you can give and give and give and never run out of. Let that sink in. Like if you needed cash, I could give you cash, but now I have less cash. If you need to know how to program a robot, I can teach you how to program a robot. Now we both know how to program robots. And so I would be nowhere near where I am today if it weren't for the people who mentored me along the way, the guys at JR and R&D and Fanuc Charlotte and now even the guys on my Fanuc sales team. I've learned so much from my peers, the guys in the other territories that I shadowed and learned from. And I've always looked up to the generation before me. And now I'm finally in a position, and I'm doing it in a lot of different ways, YouTube and STEM clubs and all things like that. Passing it on to the generation below me is, dude, if I can give you a hand up, I'm going to give you a hand up. So my big message is, if you're a veteran and you're experienced, it's not that knowledge is power. It's knowledge is a gift that's meant to be shared. And if you're young and you're getting started, go find the crotchety old guy who's smoking the cigarettes in the corner and ping him and figure out what he's learned. Because that old dude in the corner with the nicotine-stained fingers, that dude knows some stuff, man. Pick his brain.
Christian, we did not set that up, did we? And have you heard that same stereotype before?
Every time.
Yeah,
then it must
everyone
be
knows
real.
that guy. And
Okay,
what you
it's
just
real.
described, Christian's heard 3 or 4 times. As
That
we
guy-
all know that guy.
That guy has the big, 40-ounce thermos of coffee. You're like, dude, let me please buy you a drink. We need to talk. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Because that guy has lived, and I'm going to tell you, there's so many things in this industry you can't get from a book.
Yeah.
You can't just read it and know it and be good at it. It's not A, then B, then C. It's when you learn engineering, all you're doing is putting tools in your tool belt. Now you got to go and solve these problems with the tools that you've earned. You know, a lot of times the solution are things that have never been done before. Like I said, it starts from thin air and you turn it into reality. Yeah, that doesn't come out of a book. That's from experience and other people in the room. So, you know, stay humble. It's very humbling. You can't always be the smartest guy in the room. But yeah, definitely share that and breed the next generation of manufacturing.
You know, I read a fantasy speaking of something that does come out of a book, I read a fantasy fiction one time, and the idea was that automation at some point will do so much for us that we will only need to work about 4 hours in a week, and we'll start exchanging knowledge for the same financial return as we do for working currently. So
Dude.
really cool concept that I enjoyed in that book, but I thought you might like that as well. All right, you ready to play a couple of games, and then we'll do a
Dude,
toast? Do you have a toast in your mind as well?
I do, man. I do.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so the first game we're going to play is called Would You Rather. If you've been listening to this show before now, you know exactly what this game is. But if this is your first time, Would You Rather is that I give Adam, or any guest, but today is Adam, a couple of scenarios that are not perfect, neither one. But he gets to decide which one he likes best, and he'll give us a short reason why as time is drawing near to the end, even though we want this to last forever. And I have about 40 of them on here. So, and I haven't picked the one that you either do or don't want. I'm just going to pick one. What's your favorite number?
My favorite number, 9.
9. Okay, we're going to go with 9 to start. Would you rather work at a noisy but exciting steel mill or a quiet, clean semiconductor lab?
That's tough because I've done both. I'd say I would rather be the quiet, clean semiconductor lab.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
I
both
would.
as well.
Yeah.
One of them makes me want to shout like I'm a caveman, and the other one I feel like proper, like what am I?
Well,
anyway,
if you haven't noticed, I'm a loud guy. I'm loud and talkative, right? And so it's hard for me to sit still and be quiet. So sometimes the big noisy, you know, steel mill, hey John, what are you doing? Yeah, whatever, you know, that's kind of fun. You razz each other, but I think like long term, I'd rather like hey, put my headphones in, zone in, and really get wired in.
As I'm getting older, for sure.
I was gonna say, I think it's age. If you would ask me that question 10 years ago, I'm like, steel mill. What
mill.
the hell? Yeah. Now it's like, now I'm slowly just one pack of cigarettes.
To be that guy we just described.
Give me 10 more years.
A little bit bigger mug we got here. All right, second favorite number.
What's my range?
All the way up to 40.
21.
21. Would you rather work on manufacturing in extreme conditions like Antarctica or in a comfortable climate-controlled factory?
Take a guess.
You got control.
I
See, I want to go to Antarctica. I think the boat ride would make me sick, but I want to see some penguins and do some manufacturing down there.
Dude, I lived in Antarctica for 25 years. They call it West Michigan.
Yeah.
And I never want to do it again.
Okay, that was an easy one for you. Now we're going to do industry jargon because I don't know how detailed this will get. And again, we're running short on time.
Okay.
I do have a couple of good ones here for you. However, let's do this one. This one's kind of simple. It's probably real easy for you. In layman's terms, what is a gripper in robotics?
Okay. So in layman's term, a gripper on a robot is a tool that is going to pick up an object. It is something that'll mount onto the end of the robot and grab whatever part you need so that you can pick and place it. It's about as simple as I can do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Other than just saying it's like robot fingers.
Oh, that's even simpler. Damn. Okay, you won that one. All right.
It wasn't a game for me.
No. If there was a chalkboard, robot fingers.
It wasn't
I'm
supposed
sitting
to
here.
go
I'm sitting
that
here
way.
writing a Webster dictionary. Well, it's this and this and this. You're like, it's fingers, dude. It's fingers. All right, we're going with fingers. Steve Harvey, give me fingers. Ding ding ding. All right, you got it.
Number one answer.
Number one answer was fingers.
For Family Feud.
Yeah, and mine was like.
No, come on.
right.
So this is number two.
All right, try me again.
All right. What does work cell mean in the context of robotics explained simply?
Ooh, nice. I got to do it simply, right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to do it simply. When you have a playpen and you put your baby in the playpen with all the toys and everything's all confined to that one area? Mm-hmm. That's a work
That's
cell.
a work cell. Yeah, and we fenced it off and everything and put little alarms so you can't get in or out. That's exactly right. All right, Adam, you've done a wonderful job today. Benjamin, my friend, how are you today, sir? Would you mind bringing over one of those delicious bourbons for us, as Adam has chosen bourbon between scotch and tequila? For all you people out there watching and listening, leave in the comments what you would like to try if you have the opportunity to join me on the Gun Show VIP edition. Ben, you're always a gentleman and a scholar. I know this isn't your job, but we appreciate you so much, so thank you for that. Adam, do you have a toast for me, brother?
I do, and I'm going to set the table before I say it.
Okay.
All right. So my favorite quote is actually from Robin Williams. And he said, I'm not sure how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I've made a few people happier than they would have been if they hadn't known me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever have to be. And so what I would like to toast is, may we all live a life that makes those around us just a little bit happier.
I absolutely love that, Adam. Thank you so much for your time. That's a nice 4 roses. As I open this show, I also have a closing that I'd like to read as well. It's not quite memorized yet. Let's see if I stumble over any of the words. But from my heart, before I read this to close out, Adam, thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
you have
brother.
been a joy, a pleasure talking to you on the phone before you came to here. I really enjoy your energy. I hope and know the audience does as well. And yeah, let's plan on a part 2. What do you say?
I would love that, dude. This was way too much fun, man. This is great. We'll do a
I
part
like your
2.
excitement. All right, as we draw this enlightening journey to a close, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you for sharing your time with us. It's our hope that today's conversation has not only illuminated the intricate world of manufacturing, but also highlighted its profound significance. As we navigate through our daily lives, surrounded by the marvels of human ingenuity,
Ingenuity.
there it is. I had to say it again just because I messed up in the beginning. It's essential to remember the vital role manufacturing plays in shaping our world. Our discussion today goes beyond just understanding the processes and technologies. It's about fostering a deeper appreciation and awareness of this field. The need to bring manufacturing into the limelight in our educational institutions, particularly middle schools and high schools, cannot be overstated. By introducing our younger generation to the wonders and opportunities in manufacturing, we are opening doors to innovation, creativity, and the future where they can be architects of the very world they inhabit. So, as we part ways, let's carry forward the message of importance of manufacturing. Let's inspire, educate, and ignite a passion for this field in the hearts of our youth, because in doing so, we are not just talking about manufacturing. We are talking about building a better, more innovative, and sustainable future for us all. Thank you once again for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep supporting the remarkable world of manufacturing.
So the great game of business is not magic. It's a discipline. This dude has sold out. He's given up his private life. He's all in.
Yeah, they work 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week and they're paying themselves 50 grand, and last time they took a vacation was 1998. And you watch your kids grow up from a distance, and you see all this, and then at the end of the day, you got X amount of cash in your hand. You're like, but I'm working really hard. The reason I got into this business is because I remember how bad it hurt when I owned my own shop and I was there alone and no one was there to help me.
Well, guys, you've brought MTD in. We're excited to be here. I want you to share a story of you helping someone. So me personally, I cannot wait to visit this shop with you guys. So should we go pay this young man a visit?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Let's
Come on,
do it.
guys.
We know you can help us build the future we want. I guess at the end of the day, long term, we want a company that is sustainable and can help everybody involved, the families of our employees and us, of course. It's something I could hand down to my kids and to maybe not work so much, you know.
I know what he's going through, and I know we can help him.